All right, so I'm back with yet another quick Pauper deck tech. So this is a Selesnya Landfall aggro deck, a pretty low curve deck with a pretty low land count for a landfall deck, but we have ways around that. So obviously, one of the best landfall creatures is Step Links, one white for a 0/1. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And our other big payoff for Landfall is we are playing 4 copies of Adventuring Gear, 1 generic for an equipment. Equip cost is 1. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, so then, as I said, we're running 19 lands, 4 Evolving Wilds for those double landfall triggers, and 1 Selesnya Sanctuary because it's good for bouncing lands back to our hand. Then we have some ways of getting multiple landfall triggers in a turn. So first up, we have Sakura Tribe Scout, 1 green for a 1/1. With tap, you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Then we're also running a set of Crop Rotation, 1 green for an instant. When you cast it, sacrifice a land, search your library for a land, and put it onto the battlefield. So we also run just a couple of utility lands, which have good synergy with the crop rotation. So first up, we have a singleton copy of Bajuka Bog for graveyard decks, terror decks. So with a crop rotation, we can just quickly tutor this up and exile the opponent's graveyard. Okay, and then very similar, we have 2 copies of Sajiri Step. It's a land, it enters the battlefield tapped. It taps for white mana. And it also says when it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So this is also pretty cool with the crop rotation for dealing with removal. We can just quickly tutor up the step, put it on the battlefield, and give our creature protection from the color of their choice. And then Sakura Tribe Elder, we can also activate its ability at instant speed. So as long as we have this in our hand with the Scout, it's basically like a free protection spell. Okay, and then for another landfall trigger and ramp, we have 3 copies of Sakura Tribe Elder, 2 mana for a 1/1. Sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. We also have 4 copies of Quasali Pride Mage, 2 for a 2/2 with Exalted. It also says pay 1 mana, sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Then, of course, we're also running a set of core Skyfisher, of course, the classic. This has synergy with some of our ETB effects, and also we can bounce lands back with the Skyfisher to play them again. We can also bounce Abundant Growth back to our hand, which we're playing. 1 green for an aura, enchants a land. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and the enchanted land has tap, add 1 mana of any color. So we can bring this back with the Skyfisher, play it again, draw a card. Then as another way of just making sure we have lands in our hand to play to trigger our landfall, we are playing Quirion Ranger. Kind of unsure exactly about this slot, but it seems okay for now. It's 1 green for a 1/1. It says return a forest to your hand, untap target creature, activate this ability only once each turn. But we use this to bounce our forests back to our hand so that we can play a land every turn. Okay, filling out the rest of the 1-drops, I just have 2 copies of Throbbing Inspector. We have 1 copy of Guardian of the Guild Pact at the top end, along with 3 Hooting Mandrills. So yeah, this deck, I think it has potential, and I've had a lot of fun playing with it. It has quite a fun play style. Often you have to think a lot about how exactly you're going to play this deck and when you're going to search for lands or keeping mana open for them, or how you're going to, plan your landfall to get as much damage as possible. So I do like this deck a lot. I'm going to do more testing and tweaking with it, but I thought I would just show it to you guys in case you had some ideas. Don't really have a sideboard yet, although I am running Rest for the Weary against Burn, which is just pretty fast. This deck struggles to handle Burn. So Rest for the Weary is 2 mana for an instant. It says target player gains 4 life. If you had a land into the battlefield under your control this turn, that player gains 8 life instead. Alright, so yeah, that's the deck. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.